We are professional communicators if you're in sales, and we're professional listeners. Not only are we talking, but we're listening. We're hearing, not just with our ears, but with our eyes. Watching what a person's body, facial expressions are doing, and leading people with ours, trying to get them to connect with what we're saying and how we're saying it. Today, we're going to be talking about that with a body language expert, but we're really going to get into how we should approach this, how we should learn it. These are advanced skills, things that you might not want to spend a lot of time with right now, but they are skills that are helpful. And we're going to get into it and see how you can start doing it today. And at the very end, I'll give you some hacks that I use and ways I practice while I'm relaxing. Okay, before we get into it, one of the ways of communicating is through video. And video email is the way to connect with your clients today. It's the fastest, easiest way to express who you are and connect with new people. Check out covideo.com. It's the people that are listening and have used it are like, Brian, you're right. This is fantastic. Try it. It's free at first. And if you like it, you can make it part of your process. Get your whole team on it. Come on. It's 2019. Wake up, salespeople. Here we go. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us today as a way of getting started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Brian. So I'm Mark Bowden. I'm an expert in human behavior and body language, and I speak all over the world helping people to stand out, win trust, and gain credibility every time they speak. And I do that through an understanding of nonverbal communication, or what many people call body language. How to use that on purpose to influence and persuade.
Cool. And you probably have an undergraduate degree in this?
There is no undergraduate degree in as far as I know, and I'm pretty well inserted in that world, and I don't know any undergraduate degree in body language. I know on some psych degrees that are out there, there are some aspects of body language, though reports that I get back from students that I know that are on those courses go, Kai, it's pretty thin. So we're us in this world of body language, we're pretty specialized in what we do, and there isn't a great deal of academic study that you can do. There are some very good academic researchers out there in this area, though not yet transformed into solid degrees. Though during the 70s and 80s, and still do with natural history television, some great broadcasters, some great writers in that area. And so I was part of being obsessed with animal life and human behavior. And that's where the obsession came. I then went into visual arts and how you tell stories with pictures, still kept this obsession with biology. Then it turned into obsessions with brain science, neurology, neural architecture, how the brain is built. I kind of put all these things together and started looking at influence and persuasion and how the pictures that we use influence the core ideas that our brain has, and therefore shapes the world that we see and experience as being true.
That's it. And I have a similar interest more on the sales side, and kind of having these epiphanies that too many people are thinking at a too higher level, professional to professional, and just assuming that our words are going to be interpreted the way we are internalizing them, as opposed to how they're internalizing them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what you mean.
Of course.
Like you already know that. Like you just talking to me there, it's like your brain already knew what it meant. The key is do I know what you mean?
Right.
And what's going to happen between you and me? What is going to distort, disrupt that projection, that transference of meaning? Is it going to show up in me as the same meaning? And if it doesn't, why not?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, why not? How can we make sure it's more likely to turn up as the meaning that you intended? Yeah, just like you, I'm obsessed with that. It's fascinating.
Right.
But in fact, it's a miracle that we are even understanding each other right now. I mean, I know this feels pretty good. Like I totally get you, you totally get me. And we forget that it's a miracle that's going on right now.
It is. And I think we naturally, from our primitive mammal brains, think that other people should be able to just understand us.
Right, because when it works so well.
Yeah.
It works so well.
Well, that's
and then
it.
when it doesn't work, we're just like, oh, okay, well, something's broken. They're probably broken.
Yeah.
Because it's not me.
Well, you got, at least, 5-6 years where you hang around with your parents who, known you since day one, and their job is to figure out what you want and need, right?
Yeah.
Then we go out into the real world where no one cares about what you want and really need. And then you go into the professional world where they definitely don't care or know what you want or need. And our job is to communicate that, not only what we want, but how we can help other people get what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that world of sales, which is really leadership for me, you're trying to change behaviors.
Yes.
They're either not buying, or they're not buying enough, or they're not buying what they should be buying. Yes. Essentially. So there's a behavioral change. So when it comes to language, both verbal and non-verbal, we have to look at how are we going to use our language in order to change people's behaviors. Yeah. And now we've got to understand, well, changing behavior is really hard. It's really hard work. So if you're a salesperson, just understand you're in a change leadership position. You got a tough job.
Yeah, and I think body language can be incredibly powerful in not just expressing, communicating, but in listening.
Absolutely. So we look at other people to work out, do we think they're a good listener?
Yeah.
And if we think they're a good listener, we decide that they listened, whether they did or not. Now, conversely, we look at people to decide, are they a bad listener? And if we perceive through the visual image of them that they're a bad listener, we decide they didn't listen, whether they did or not.
Yeah. And different cultures have different responsibilities between who's responsible for the communication, the sender or the receiver. And in sales, it's always the sender.
Well, quite right. I mean, that is a pattern I think that we've got into. I mean, there's all kinds of ideas around the power of the seller and the power of the buyer, and I think that kind of can flip flop around quite a bit. I'm sure many sellers have gone into situations going, you know what, I have a great product, a great service, like they would be lucky to get this from me. So we see ourselves as big and powerful, and maybe that's true, or maybe that's false. But from a behavioral point of view, these patterns start playing out around status, around power. But I think the generalization is the power is in the buyer, because
at the end of the day, right? Yeah,
you're
not going to refuse them.
Nothing you can do. You can't force me to buy. It's not a monopoly. If it was a monopoly, you'd never need salespeople for a start.
And the other part is that the words are rarely the accurate truth in sales.
Well, words in general are rarely the accurate truth.
Yeah.
Words are reductions, are generalizations. They're a way of creating a sonic indicator, signifier of a thing that is more complex.
Yes.
And so words are let's take this, for example. If we put words together in a certain order, we can get something called metaphor. And metaphor describes something as being something that it definitely is not. Definitely is not.
Explain that.
Like, it's a lie. A metaphor is a lie, essentially.
Okay.
The metaphor is a lie, yet it's a lie that the brain feels very comfortable with. Yeah. So every time we use metaphor, which is not like simile. Simile says it is like something. My mind is like the wind at the moment. Yeah, suggests kind of a movement, an airiness to it. But if I say my mind is the wind, which is a metaphor,
okay,
it describes my mind as something that it definitely is not. So let me give you a classic metaphor that's used. The brain is a machine. The brain is a computer. No, it's not. Absolutely isn't. Nothing like one.
No, not
definitely not. Yet when I say to people, hey, the brain is a computer, people go, oh, good. Oh, yeah, good. Why? Because they use a computer every day. They're comfortable with that. My language, my metaphor has made them comfortable. Yet my metaphor is an outright falsehood.
Yeah. And is body language consistent across cultures?
No, not at all. So elements are, yes, elements are, and some elements are not. Let me give you a quick element that is not eye contact. So eye contact is the element that is the same across cultures, because we're all human, is that our eyes look towards the value. They look at things that are valuable. We're attracted to things that could be of benefit to us or of risk to us. Okay. And if it's something of benefit, we'll keep our eyes on it. And if it's something of risk, we'll keep our eyes on it. But ultimately, we're saying what we're looking at has a value higher than all the other stuff around us. Does that make sense?
It does.
So far? That in a cultural sense, in our Western business culture and Western culture as a whole, we're told as a cultural norm, when you're speaking to somebody, give them good eye contact, look them in the eye. Yeah, and you're nodding your head and saying, yeah, so you recognize that as being true. Now, having said that, in other cultures, if they're of higher status than you, some but not all of the time, you do not look them in the eye. Now, why is that? Why is that? Have they got a different idea of eye contact? No, it's still about value. But what they're saying is lower your eyes. In fact, it's not about don't look them in the eye. It's about lower your eyes and look down so you don't go and look at other things of potential value. It's a way of keeping the hierarchy. Yes. It's a way of blinkering yourself to go, don't you dare look at anything else. Because if I look the higher status person in the eye and then suddenly I get attracted to something over there, I've just diminished that high status and our whole society. So this tends to happen, by the way, in organizations and societies where hierarchy is imperative. Without hierarchy, it all falls down. You'll find it a great deal in armed services, where you need to keep hierarchy all the time. You'll find it in societies where they keep getting invaded a lot, and you need the hierarchy always there because you need to be ready for conflict. Yep. So there are some human principles around nonverbal communication, and then there's some societal rules which can change, but the principles do not change.
How about when you're being understood or the person's confused? What should you be looking for to see if they're getting it?
Interesting. So that fits quite interestingly into that idea of culture, because there's some cultures that if they don't agree with you or they are confused, they're still going to smile and nod.
Yes. Well, it's polite. And it could just mean I'm bored to death and just keep going. Let's get this over with.
Right. Right. So you've got to know your cultural norms to understand that just because they're smiling and nodding does not mean they get it and they agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the end, our nonverbal language isn't able to communicate the complexities that our verbal language can. So if you want to be safe and not sorry, all you do is ask. You got to go. So can you repeat back to me what you believe you heard from me?
Okay. And, and are there myths? Because I've studied neurolinguistics programming at time, and they have the eye charts, where you look is what memory you're accessing, or you're creating an image. Is that true from what you studied?
The studies that I've seen more than 4 studies, good academic studies, which show in tests, no, it's absolutely not true. Now, I worked on neurolinguistic programming. I actually worked with Richard Bandler from a very early age. I know that technology quite well. I think some of it is astonishingly good, and some of it is good for a hobby. Yeah, if you want to read very thick.
Having trouble going to sleep.
Yeah. Like anything you want to get in depth in, you'll end up in some weeds that may not be helpful, but may well be enjoyable to mess around in. Okay, when it comes to eye accessing cues, as a generalization for the general people that you see around you, I would not waste your energy looking into those. Okay, now, if you want to do interview and interrogation or therapy, and you're going to get to really know a client, or you're going to get to hold somebody in a room for a long, long time and really study them, it could be interesting, but now you're working with the individual, not Bandler and Grinder's model around that. Science suggests that the model is inaccurate. Okay. Now, do people look in different places to retrieve certain information? Do they have patterns? For sure. Yeah. For sure they have patterns. Could that be valuable to you? Could be valuable in the right context. Most people are never in that right context for that to be valuable, I would suggest.
Okay. And I think the number one thing I think salespeople have a problem with is telling whether the other person is sincere or they're just trying to get you out of their office. Can we get together in 2 weeks? And they say, yeah, definitely, give me a call. Right. Now, are they going to take that call, or are they not? They're just blowing you up.
Okay. So look, here's what I think traditionally happens here is we're now relying on nonverbal indicators to give us an idea, a probability of if they are telling us the truth or not, if they're going to follow through or not. Well, I just think that's the wrong thing to do. And what you need to do is be a little bit braver. So when the person says, so could we get together in another, so suddenly the client, the potential client says, let's get together in another 2 weeks. And you're wondering, is that really going to happen? Yeah. So I'm now going to hold them to account, but with words. And I would say, so how do you want me to make sure that we do this in another couple of weeks? So I get them to create the contract.
Okay, good.
Okay? I get them to make the contract. How do you want me to make sure? Well, the person says, okay, well, email me in a week's time. And I say, here's what I notice about that kind of thing is that often, I might email, but the person doesn't get back. And now, what do you want me to do if I email you and you don't come back to me? Because we know we want to get together in another couple of weeks. Yeah. How do you want me? What is the limit that I can go to in terms of haranguing you, badgering you to get this meeting? So I get them to create the noose for their neck. I get them to create, because if they say, look, just hammer on literally come round physically, I say, I will do that.
Okay.
I will do that.
Yeah.
So you're using your verbal skill to get permission to make a deal, because ultimately you're using your nonverbal to make that very non-confrontational. I'm being very open. I'm being very pleasant with my body language as I say, we are going to make a contract right now that I can bug you for the rest of your life if you don't make this appointment with me. Yeah. But I'm not being aggressive. You don't see any aggressive body language, though verbally what's happening there is I'm pinning that person in a corner. But it won't feel like that to them because they're not seeing the nonverbal data for that.
And what do you look for when you're in a one-to-one meeting to see if you have established rapport before you start getting down to business?
Sure. So I'm looking for a certain amount of mirroring or rapport in that they are following me. Look, I'm going to lead them. If I'm selling or leading, I'm going to lead them through the sale, which means I must be followable, first of all, which means I'm going to go for symmetry. I'm going to go for simplicity in my movement. I'm going to go for clarity in my movement. So I notice when I nod my head like this, you're maybe noticing that you're doing the same right now. Yeah. And so when I hit this rhythm like this, and then you reply to me, I hear you hitting the same rhythm as me. So now I'm getting the sense of, okay, we're dancing to the same tune, and I've chosen the tune.
Okay. So you do, or the mirroring is scientifically proven, or is it still?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mirroring. We do mirroring anyway. We don't need to try and do it. We do initial mirroring to work out, is this one of my people or not? Could I be sympathetic with them? Are we simpatico? Yeah. So we mirror each other to go, how well does this fit? And if the dance is awkward from moment one, we're like, I don't think they're from my land. I don't think they get my situation. And it could be standoffish. But it's very, and usually because their body has not done that dance before. Yeah. So it's not used to it. But there's dances that body constantly does. And if I give them that universal dance to do, or a simple one to copy, they're more likely to join in and go, oh, this is one of my people. So I do simple, clear movement that they can easily copy. So that's why I say lead, don't read. I'm not against body language reading. I've written a book on it. So, but all the other 3 books are really about how to lead others with your behavior, not read the behavior. Before you get into trying to read the behavior, get really masterful at leading
the behavior. That's good. And are there any myths that people should be aware of that you've heard over the years that just frustrate you, and that there's almost no truth to them?
Yeah. So look, there's truth, but there's a lot of different truth. So let's take this one first of all, because my guess is everybody attending this recording will have seen the crossed arms.
Yep.
Seen crossed arms, and let me ask you this, Brian. What is your instant kind of gut reaction to my crossed arms?
It would be, I don't agree with you. Here, either against my will, or I'm bored, or I'm not into this.
So you've given me about 3 or 4 different theories of mind about me. Mark is bored. Mark is not into this. Mark is here against his will. But notice all of them default to a negative. Yeah, and you're not different from anybody else out there that I would ask this question of. And I'm going, look, give me your quick reaction to this. Now let's think about it. Could you give me as many reasons as you can think of why a human being crosses their arms?
Oh, to be comfortable, to be warm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, comfortable, warm, protective. We make decisions when we cross our arms. Yeah. When we want to think carefully, we cross our arms. When we don't have arm rests to put our arms on, but we want to stay really engaged, we cross our arms. There are so many positive reasons why we cross our arms, but our gut reaction defaults to a negative. That's the way our instinct reads body language. It defaults to negatives. Better to be safe than sorry. When we think about it carefully, we come up with all kinds of positive reasons. Now, I'm in a sales situation, and I say to the potential client, so what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And they go, And so my instinct goes, uh-oh, this is bad news. They're totally closed. They're totally against this. Yeah. So what I do is I don't let them answer. I start trying to support the thing. I go, what do you think of this? And they go, they cross their arms. And I go, well, because, you can see, the value is really there and the price is really, really, and now I'm selling hard. I'm pushing because I've seen closed. And what I've forgotten about is one of the reasons people cross their arms is to control their body so that they've got more neural capacity to make a rational decision and really think about something.
Yeah.
And I've just stopped that process because I allowed my instinct to default to a negative. Yeah. Now, maybe what I should have done is I should have shown them all the sides. I should have, with my hands, gone, look, there are many different things to think about here. But I just want you to put all of these ideas together and make a clear choice right now. What is your decision around this right now?
Yeah.
So I've used my linguistic skill and my nonverbal skill to show them all the different ideas, to show them how they all fold together, and that now is the time to make the decision.
And for the
now,
people,
that is leading, not reading.
I like that. And what is the sequence that you would recommend for people to learn about this? Is it what order? How fast?
Yeah. So first of all, my first book, Winning Body Language. In fact, if you're in sales, Winning Body Language for Sales Professionals, which is the sales version of this, co-written with Andrew Ford, who really understands way better than I do that process of sales and the many different processes that a sales individual will get into. Start with that because it will really help you with that leading, not reading area, and help you understand how you're going to construct the sales environment in order to get the sales outcome. I would say that outcome is due to environment. Construct the environment of the sale and people move towards the sale. And you are part of the environment. So behave in the right way and people will buy. They'll move into those patterns. Once you've got some real results from that, then get interested in, say, truth and lies, what people are really thinking. Because actually, that's a book on critical thinking disguised as a book on reading body language. And what you need to know, I mean, it's got all the good stuff that you
Those
really
metaphors.
want on reading body language. It's a hellishly thick book. Okay,
price per pound.
So it's got all the stuff. But the most important thing it has in there is a critical thinking method to think more accurately about yourself and other people. And once you start thinking more accurately about other people, that's extraordinarily powerful because you're not in the dark anymore.
Cool.
You've got more data, more information, more intelligence.
And where should people go to follow you and continue learning from you?
Yeah, sure. So check me out on LinkedIn, Mark Bowden. You'll find me there. Google Mark Bowden and up I'll come, body language expert. Check out my books on Amazon. Find my company at truthplane.com, TRUTHPLANE, truthplane.com.
Here's some of my tips. What I do quite often is I'll watch crime shows, first with no volume. That way I get to see, and these are real crime shows, not dramatic reenactments. So you can see interrogations, conversations with the particular person, and you try and watch their hands, their face, and then you watch it with the volume on. And you get to a sense of what the person's communicating. Are they fidgeting? Are they covering up? And when you start to do this with customers, and you can do it with business interviews, real live interviews, and get a sense of what people are doing when they're asked a question to kind of get a sense of how truthful they are, especially when you know they're lying. That's the best part. Because when we're with clients, we've got to lead them with enthusiasm, get them engaged by being a little bit animated, using humor or stories to engage them, not just tell them who we are, what we do, and how much it costs. And then to listen to them, look at their body language, get a sense of what are they trying to communicate. Are they confused? Do they have the dog watching TV nod to them? You ever seen a dog watch TV? They look at it and they don't know what's going on. There's sound coming out of that box, but I don't get it. And we have to be sensitive to this because a superpower of advanced selling is empathy. Because when you have empathy, then you can be curious. You can listen. You can understand how they are viewing you and your product and how it fits into their world. It takes development. It takes practice. It takes concerted effort, but nobody teaches us this. I try and explain that we need it because once you start looking at the deal from your client's perspective, you'll be able to determine what they're going to do. And that's one of my laws. If you know what they're going to do, then you know what to do. If you know what's going to happen, you know what to do next. What blinds us is the fog of war. We're emotionally attached to this particular moment in the deal. We need to pull ourselves back and look at the deal as a whole. How does it compare to other deals like it? What does this mean? How do I guide the person? Because we have to lead the deal. If we don't, the deal gets stuck. That's the nature of it. So check out B2BRevenue.com. And there's a training tab. You can look at the courses, and if you're interested and you feel they're a match, schedule a time to talk with me. Let's talk it over. I'll answer any questions. I'll explain how it works. I'll basically tell you get 100% access day one. There's no gating it. You can pay all at once or in 12 monthly payments. It's not a membership, though. It's a payment plan. And you have not only the content that you have all of day one, go at it at your own pace. You have 12-month access to it and unlimited one-on-one coaching sessions with me over Zoom, applying the course to what you're doing. You also get to listen to those. So they're anonymous. Nobody knows your name, your company, your customer, your product, anything about it. The only part that's put up there is the generic part of it. But what you'll get a sense of is all of these deals, all of these people, real-world case study approach. This is what Harvard Business School does. It's case study based. Instead of learning a skill, you're applying your skills to deals. So you get the ability to go through hundreds of deals at your own pace, at the core components of the deals, getting in, keeping the ball moving, what I call direction, momentum, and control. And what I've done is condensed what the best salespeople do into this course. This is a 30-year project for me. So I am a seller, but I did enterprise sales for 25 years straight. Loved it. Got sick of working for other people though, but I still love the sale. And I love talking to people about sales if you haven't noticed. So go there, see if it matches. The prices do go up the 1st of September. So don't waste any time and lock it in now. You get a whole year's access. There's also office hours, which is every other Friday for an hour. Again, we take a case study. We answer questions, go through a case study, share new tools and techniques that have happened in the last 2 weeks, and answer every question that people have. Those are, again, recorded and put back in the course if you can't make that particular time period or you have a conflict, whatever. You can listen to it at your leisure. At your leisure. Okay. Also, make sure you follow me on LinkedIn. I put all my funny videos up on LinkedIn. I make fun of sales and what I see being done wrong, which is a lot. Yeah, especially, oh God, I'm telling you, the blogs, the crap that's put out there as sales advice by people in marketing. Hey, if you're not in sales, you don't know how to sell. That's one of my laws. So also check out the YouTube channel, Maverick Method on YouTube. There's a bunch of the podcasts in video format and audio, as well as tips and comedy, parodies, all of that sales entertainment. And share it with a friend, would you? Tell one person this week about the brutal truth. Also, the Sales Questions podcast. Are you listening to that? I answer any and all questions via the podcast. So just send me a sales question on LinkedIn and look for it on the Sales Questions Brutally Honest Answers podcast and the B2B Revenue Leadership Show. Make sure you're checking that out. We'll see you next time.